यी मेरा शेर्पा आइला हुन्। उनले सन् 1950 देखि 62 सम्म मलाई सहयोग गरेका थिए। मैले नेपालमा गरेको पहिलो काम भौगर्भिक सर्वेक्षण हो। हिमालयमा डायमण्ड जस्ता बहुमूल्य खनिज पदार्थ पाइन्छ कि पाइँदैन भन्ने कुरा हेर्नु पनि मेरो काम थियो। मैले मधेसदेखि हिमालय र तिब्बतसम्मको भौगर्भिक अवस्थाको अध्ययन गरेँ। यस क्रममा मैले 14,000 किलोमिटर पैदल यात्रा गरेँ। सुरुमा मेरो रुचि चट्टानप्रति थियो। भ्रमणका त्यतिबेला नेपालमा थोरै मात्र स्कुल थिए। नेपालमा शिक्षा प्रणालीको आलोचना गरिन्छ, तर पनि शिक्षाका क्षेत्रमा नेपालले निसन्देह धेरै प्रगति गरेको छ।
Rice fields, dry and parched during the early months of the year. Gurkha, once the capital of the hill chiefs who later became kings of Nepal, is today a sleepy little place. The worship of gods in the pagoda-like temples and the people's life in their homes has seen little change for hundreds of years. Old women spin as their grandmothers did. And one of the few mechanical contrivances is a tilt hammer for pounding grain. Only the large red brick palace of Gurkha, now mouldering away, recalls the glory of past ages. Its delicately carved wooden windows are the work of craftsmen who were attracted by the royal court. They have long since vanished, but Gurkha soldiers in the black uniforms of the Nepal militia guard the ancient palace. And the clerks occupying its chilly rooms often move their desks and files into the warm sun. A soldier on leave from a British regiment watches them. For him, there's little else to do in a place where the women are busy with their housework and washing clothes in an open well. And the men have to go to their fields carrying on their shoulders not a rifle, but a wooden plough. The Gurung tribesmen who fill the ranks of so many Gurkha regiments are sturdy farmers. In a land devoid of level ground, they score terraced fields out of the steep hill slopes and work the stony ground with their light wooden plough. On the higher terraces, they grow summer crops of millet and maize, from which they make bread and porridge and brew beer. Perhaps unknowingly in some cases, they are wasteful of their homeland's natural resources. They mercilessly rob the trees of every leafy branch in order to feed their cattle at a time when all the grass has dried up. The Gurungs keep large flocks of sheep for wool and meat. In the winter, these flocks remain in the lower valleys, where they graze on the rice stubble. But when spring comes, the shepherds move with them to the higher pastures. These men live for months in the high mountains, their only homes being simple shelters of cloth spread over bamboo frames. On feast days, all the people congregate in the villages. During 1 month of the year, a strange ritual takes place when parties of girls work themselves up into a religious trance. They are then believed to be possessed by a spirit, a goddess. In this way, the supernatural becomes part of everyday life, and the gods and goddesses of Nepal make their presence felt in the remotest villages to the simplest of people. A feast follows the dance. It is served in the open on a stone-paved terrace. Men who have dined for years in a regimental mess, who've tried Chinese food in Hong Kong and drunk wine in Italian restaurants, now sit happily on the floor and enjoy a simple meal of rice and heavily spiced sauce. They have known the world of the machine age, but they return quite contentedly to the simple, hard life of hill peasants. What a Gurkha soldier has learned during his service in the British Army, he cannot employ in his home. He may have been a lorry driver, but in a country without roads or any source of power, his mechanical knowledge is useless. Yet these veterans return to their mountain homes without becoming misfits. They seldom attain or even appear to wish for positions of real leadership. From the hill villages of the Gurungs, within sight of the lofty Annapurna range, the expedition turns east towards Kathmandu. As one approaches Nepal's capital, foot traffic increases. Thousands of porters carrying foodstuffs and live poultry converge on the city. In the late morning, Heimendorf and his party stop to cook a meal which must sustain them until evening. In 3 days' time, such a crossing. In any case, the loads could hardly have been got from one bank to another in this way. But a day's journey farther on, there's a cane bridge, not very well kept, and swaying frighteningly as the porters carry their heavy loads across it. Such bridges are used until they finally break, and then a new bridge is built of cane and bamboo. People often get hurt or even killed, for anyone falling into the rushing waters of the Arun has little chance of survival. Even Mrs. Heimendorf finds it best to take her boots off. Eventually, everyone gets safely across, and the party moves up the eastern slope towards the Tibetan border. The first people they meet describe themselves as Ka Botias. They, and in fact the whole population on both sides of the Arun Gorge, seem to be a mixture of a local tribe and immigrant Tibetans. Their huddled villages are not so well planned and spaced out as the Sherpa ones. Women are busy with the harvest of a small variety of millet. This is their main crop. There's more than enough to eat as well as to use for brewing beer. At this time of the year, they and the children spend most of their days in the harvest fields. They cut off the ears of grain with small sickles, and once the basket is full, it is taken straight to the thrashing floor. Cattle, bred from Indian stock, graze among the stubble. Buddhist monuments stand alongside the village paths, but Buddhism and an older tribal religion are here mixed up, and the men who describe themselves as lamas are really spirit callers and priests.